When the universe chooses you, it doesn't whisper. It roars through your presence, crashing through illusions like a storm. Unapologetic, unstoppable, undeniable. To the ones who tried to break you, you failed before you even began. You weren't just fighting a person, you picked a war with the universe's 0.1%. And now, every fake smile, every manipulation, every mask you wore is melting under the heat of a soul that gives zero FX. They tried to dim what they could never understand. But your light is not a candle. It's a wildfire. And now it's burning through every lie they built to cage you. If you're already feeling this message in your bones, hit like and subscribe. Not just to support, but to help this reach more of the 0.1%. YouTube pushes messages the moment it sees engagement, so the more you interact, the more chosen ones this finds. This is bigger than views. It's about awakening. And if you know, you know. You are not ordinary, never were. You exist in a rare lane, walked by the few who were born to destroy illusions just by existing. Narcissists, manipulators, energy thieves, they all lose sleep over your kind. Because you're not just hard to control, you're impossible to touch. Your aura is the equivalent of standing barefoot on truth while the world tries to sell lies wrapped in velvet. They hate you not because you're wrong, but because you're right, real, and resilient. From the moment you arrived, your energy created shockwaves. The frequency you carry breaks patterns, interrupts control systems, and sends subconscious panic through those built on deceit. Your presence alone messes with their programming, like a glitch in their system that can't be debugged. You ever notice how rooms shift when you enter? How fake people suddenly get uncomfortable, passive-aggressive, or outright hostile? That's not paranoia. That's power. You walk in with 0 FKs, and suddenly they're all scrambling. Why? Because you're the reminder they can't outrun. You represent what they fear the most: truth, autonomy, and the refusal to bow. You don't perform for approval, and that makes you dangerous to their game. You don't feed their egos, and that starves their delusions. To the chosen, stop doubting your light. Stop apologizing for existing loud. Stop shrinking to make them comfortable. You weren't made to be palatable. You were made to be a signal flare in a world full of shadows. The universe didn't put all this power in you just for you to question it every time someone reacts badly to your presence. Their discomfort is the proof. Being chosen isn't about fame or perfection. It's about being a walking disruption, a beautiful chaos to the systems of control. You're the glitch in the narcissist's perfect mirror, the crack in the mask, the silence that exposes their noise. You shine without trying, and that burns them without fire. Understand this: they never hated you. They hated their lack of control over you. They hated how you made them feel seen. You were the mirror they couldn't shatter, the reflection they couldn't distort. That's why they attack. That's why they smear. That's why they obsess. Because your energy is a spotlight, and their lies can't survive in it. So hold your ground. Keep standing on 0 FKs. Let your silence speak where words are wasted. Let your presence haunt them like a ghost of every truth they tried to bury. The universe didn't choose you by accident. You were made to be the storm they can't predict, the calm they can't fake, and the reality they can't rewrite. You are the chosen, and you drive narcissists to the brink of insanity, not because you try to, but because you exist. So, if you've made it this far, you already know. This message hits different because it's speaking directly to your soul. You're not here by accident. You're here because the universe is calling out the 0.1%, the ones who stand on zero FKs and drive manipulators insane just by breathing truth. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you feel that power rising inside you. That's the signal. That's your frequency. Stay with me, because what's coming next will hit even deeper. If you're truly chosen, you won't just hear this. You'll feel it. Let's lock in and go deeper. Number 1. They sent clowns to kill a lion. But you were never meant to bow in a circus. They built masks to hide their weakness. You were built to break masks with your existence. Let's be real. These people didn't just show up by chance. These chaos-loving, fake-smiling, energy-leeching narcissists. They weren't random. They were assigned, deployed like cheap foot soldiers by a dying system. Sent in waves to drain the spirit of someone they will never understand. Why? Because you are part of the 0.1%, the unshakable, the unbroken, the chosen. You don't play by their rules, and worse, you don't need them. And that's what terrifies them. They came with masks, false love, fake light, false peace. They shouted, "I hate drama," while creating storms. They cried about loyalty while scheming behind backs. These are not just toxic people, they're pawns. They're playing roles written by systems that can't reach you directly, so they use these hollow bodies like puppets. You weren't dealing with just a narcissist. You were staring into the face of a weak system, trying to stop a force it couldn't comprehend. Let this burn in your mind. They had to send many to attack one, you. That's how dangerous your energy is. One of you unravels their whole illusion. You walk in, and suddenly the entire room's energy shifts. Faces tighten. Jokes get weird. Passive aggression starts dripping from fake smiles. You feel it in your body, in your gut. And still, you question yourself? No. Stop. Don't you dare betray your light with doubt. The universe doesn't choose people it doesn't trust. You think all this pressure came to someone weak. No, it came to you because only a soul forged from truth could survive it. They fear you, chosen one, because your light isn't soft and safe. It's raw and surgical. It cuts through lies like a blade. You are not a cozy campfire. You are lightning through the bone. You disrupt the entire matrix by existing. That smile they call too confident. That silence they label cold. That's power. That's control. That's grace under pressure, something they could never fake. You've probably asked, why do they hate me when I've done nothing to them? Because you don't need to. Their spirit sees yours and instantly knows. It can't manipulate you. You're not food. You're not supply. You're a mirror. And when they look into it, they see everything they pretend not to be. You were never the problem. You were the exposure. And yet, some of you still doubt. Still think maybe it's your fault. Still believe the lies they've fed you. Wake up. Would the entire system scramble this hard to dim someone who doesn't matter? Would they invest this much effort into trying to twist your truth, if your truth wasn't lethal to their game? This is warfare, and they've been using spiritual snipers disguised as friends, family, lovers. And what did you do? You tried to heal them, tried to understand them, but you weren't sent to fix them. You were sent to reveal them. You keep forgetting you're not on their level. You keep trying to use empathy in a war zone. That's like trying to hug a bomb to stop it from exploding. When the universe chooses someone, The system takes it personal. It sends test after test, hoping you'll break. And when you don't, it panics. The agents get sloppy. The masks slip. You see them for what they are, and once you see, you can't unsee. You're the glitch in their loop, the wild card, the variable they can't control. They made one massive mistake. They thought your silence was weakness. They thought your isolation meant they were winning. But all they did was give you time to remember who you are. And now that you're waking up, nothing can touch you. You're not just surviving. You're learning how to strike back, calmly, silently, with presence alone. The power of being chosen isn't in having an easy life. It's in being the reason falsehoods collapse. It's when the universe starts bending paths, shifting timelines, and lining up moments for your rise, because it knows your time has come. And when the universe moves, nothing stops it. Not fake love, not smear campaigns, not small minds trying to silence a roaring spirit. So next time one of these agents tries to provoke you, remember this: they're not reacting to you. They're reacting to what you represent. You are proof that their control is dying. You're the alarm they can't snooze, the truth they can't bury, and the light they can't dim. Let them panic, let them obsess, let them talk. You've got bigger things to do. You were never sent here to blend in. You were sent here to break the pattern. Number 2. Your truth, registered as a threat. When you speak, their system bleeds. Some voices don't echo, they rupture dimensions. You didn't wake up, you detonated. You think this is just about hurt feelings, ego bruises, social drama. No, this is consciousness warfare. And the moment you started speaking your truth, raw, unfiltered, and without apology, the system started glitching. This ain't metaphor. This is real. The walls shook when your voice aligned with your soul. The matrix doesn't just notice light, it fears it, especially when it comes from someone who stands on 0 FKs and isn't asking for permission to exist. Last autumn, you felt it, that shift. You stopped bending, stopped explaining, stopped asking people to love you right. You started talking like you knew who you were. And when you did, somewhere in some quiet room, someone monitoring energetic anomalies flinched. Because the system has eyes on more than screens, they watch frequencies, and your energy, your authentic, activated, weaponized truth, set off alarms. Not because it was loud, but because it was real. They didn't expect you to wake up. They thought the trauma would be enough. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the smear campaigns, the silent treatments, the fake friends. They thought the programming would hold. But it didn't. You didn't just resist. You cracked the code from the inside. And when your signal went live, everything around you, every sleeper, every narcissist, every spiritual puppet started acting weird. That's not coincidence, that's reaction. Someone out there with equipment you'll never see tried to track the source of that disturbance. 3 of them, to be exact. 1 quit, 1 malfunctioned. 1 is still watching you and shaking. The lead agent, a man trained to hunt awakened minds, reviewed your data and walked away from his whole life. Moved to the mountains, left a single line behind. Some lights cannot be contained. Imagine that. A man whose job was to shut you down, bowed out. Not because of weakness, but because he recognized power when he saw it. Let that sink in. While you were questioning yourself, someone trained to suppress minds like yours decided you were untouchable. So let's make something very clear. The fact that they attack you is your confirmation. You keep asking, why me? When the better question is, who else could handle this? Their fear is your proof. Their obsession, your badge. Their silence, your spotlight. Every attempt to distort your truth, every whisper campaign, every forced isolation, they are screaming one message: you are not one of us. And that's exactly right. You weren't made to blend into the program. You are the virus in the code. The walking truth bomb that unravels systems just by breathing. They can't predict you. They can't replicate you. They sure as hell can't control you. So what do? They isolate you. They gaslight you. They try to convince you that you're the problem. Because if you ever really stood fully in your light, they know damn well you'd burn their house of lies down without even lifting a hand. And yet, you question your worth. Let me remind you what you are. A consciousness disruptor, a timeline breaker. You are the surge in the grid that fried their old codes. When you woke up, you didn't just take your power back. You ripped through dimensions and triggered ancient protections. You shifted the course of your bloodline. You made the entire system stutter. Your isolation? That wasn't rejection. That was protection. While you were crying over being abandoned, the universe was pulling you out of reach, hiding you in plain sight. Why? Because you're nuclear when aligned. You think you were abandoned, but you were actually sealed off like sacred tech. They couldn't reach you. They couldn't access you. And still, you questioned your worth. You don't need a stage. Your existence is the message. You walk into a room and everyone's shadows start to scream. You don't even have to speak. Your presence is a sermon. Your silence is pressure. Your eye contact. Spiritual dissection. They squirm, not because you're hostile, but because your spirit strips their mask bare. You force people to face themselves without saying a damn word, and that scares the hell out of them. The alphabet agencies aren't just monitoring terrorists. They're watching truth. They're watching you. Because when someone like you goes off script, the ripple affects timelines, choices, entire systems. Your voice carries data. Your soul carries ancient blueprints. They know who you are, even if you're still figuring it out. And let's talk about those narcissists again, because they're tools in this war. They are not just toxic people. They are conduits for suppression systems. They sense awakened beings before they awaken. That's why they target you so early, so often. They were meant to keep you distracted, chasing validation, doubting your sanity, suppressing your truth. But here you are, awake, aware, and fully done playing small. You have no idea how rare this level of consciousness is, no idea how powerful your alignment is. You think it's all just inner work and healing and peace? No, that's the side effect. The real work is the war behind your eyes. The calm that comes after you realize they can't touch you anymore. This isn't about getting back at them. It's about transcending them. About standing so fully in your light that they no longer even recognize you. Because the version of you they thought they broke doesn't exist anymore. So if you're feeling like the world is against you, good. It means you're aligned. It means you're in the arena, not watching from the stands. The weight on your chest, the shadows you face, the people turning against you. That's the friction of a system that can't hold you anymore. You're cracking out of the old shell. And yeah, it hurts. But so does being born. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not too intense. You are not paranoid. You are exactly what this world fears and desperately needs. Uncontrolled, awakened, unapologetic consciousness. So no more doubt, no more second guessing. Walk like you were sent, because you were. Speak like you're protected, because you are. And never forget, if they're trying this hard to stop you, it's because you already broke through. You are the glitch. You are the signal. You are the storm. And they're running out of ways to stop you. Number 3. Your isolation wasn't punishment. It was initiation into power. Before the universe gives you the throne, it locks you in a room alone to see if you can carry the crown without breaking. Let's strip the illusion right now. What you called rejection, abandonment, or loneliness was actually sacred selection. That year, or maybe 2 or 3, when everything fell apart, when people ghosted, when love turned cold, and support disappeared. That wasn't failure. That was the moment the universe sealed you off to upgrade you. Because what's coming through, you could never be built in the noise. That dark night of the soul, that was your transformation chamber. The silence, a sacred operating room. You weren't being ignored. You were being rewired. People fell away not because you were unworthy, but because their energy would have corrupted the upgrade. Your spirit was undergoing surgery, and the universe doesn't allow distractions in the middle of evolution. You think you were being punished. No, you were being prepared, and not everyone gets called into that kind of preparation. Only those who carry codes. Only those whose future presence will rupture the control grid simply by standing tall and speaking real. You are not like them. You were never meant to be. You keep asking, why did everyone leave? Here's the brutal truth. They couldn't stay. They weren't built to handle the frequency you were rising into. Think of it like this. When you're going from stone to fire, the dead weight burns. Their absence created room for your expansion. Every silence was permission. Every goodbye was sacred clearance. And yes, the pain was real, but so is the reason. Your nervous system had to recalibrate. Your emotions had to be detoxed. Your very spiritual DNA was being rewritten. That doesn't happen in public. That doesn't happen surrounded by people who only loved you for who you used to be. That kind of transformation demands solitude. It demands separation. It demands brutal, isolating, identity-killing, sacred preparation. You were being trusted with this process. You think this is just spiritual fluff. No, this is coded reality. Monasteries, mystics, old world watchers, they felt your emergence. Last winter, when you thought you were breaking, when you cried out to the sky at 3 a.m., wondering if you even mattered anymore. Halfway across the world, the oldest monk at St. Catherine's Monastery woke up at exactly 3:33 a.m. His heart racing, his breath shaking. Why? Because he saw you, not your face, but your light. Your signal, your frequency. He called the others and described a radiant force breaking through darkness, a being carrying the exact spiritual code needed for humanity's next jump forward. He didn't know your name. He didn't need to. Your energy spoke. And from that night on, they've been holding prayer ceremonies in perfect alignment with your spiritual timeline. You thought you were alone. You were being watched over by those who still remember what real awakening looks like. And the crazy part, the documents they've been creating about this frequency, they'll be discovered in exactly 19 years. When more of the world is finally ready to understand what's already begun through you. That's the level of preparation we're talking about. So why do you still doubt yourself? Why are you still apologizing for being too intense, too sensitive, too much? You went through hell because you carry heaven inside you. Stop asking why it hurt so bad. Start asking, how the hell did I survive all that, and I'm still standing? Because that question reveals the truth. You didn't just survive. You ascended. The universe does not waste energy on people who don't matter. And it sure as hell doesn't isolate anyone just to watch them break. If you were pulled away from the world, it's because something unseen was being built within you. Something that will be impossible to ignore when it's ready to roar. You're not soft. You're sacred. You're not broken. You're being revealed. Every moment you spent in the void, feeling forgotten, was time the universe was digging deep foundations for a tower no storm will shake. You were never being punished. You were being prepared for visibility, for velocity, for victory. Think of a lion in a cage. You don't put prey in a cage. You don't isolate pigeons. You cage what terrifies people. You isolate what's too powerful to be left free until it's ready. You weren't caged because you're weak. You were caged because you're lethal. To lies, to manipulation, to illusion, to the entire damn system. And now, the gate's opening. So here's the real question. Are you ready to stop mourning what you lost and start owning what you became? Because they didn't just walk away. The universe cleared them out. They were never going where you're going. They couldn't survive where you're headed. That path wasn't meant for followers. It was built for trailblazers. And that's who you are. What happened to you wasn't a delay. It was a countdown. And now the clock just hit 0. You were born chosen. You were forged in isolation. You were trained in shadows. And now it's time to step out and watch how the light bends around you. Number 4, you weren't playing a game. You were the board they've been trying to control. While you were healing, they were planning. But the one thing they never calculated was what happens when the game piece learns it was never meant to be moved, only to win. This wasn't bad luck. This wasn't random betrayal. This wasn't just how life goes. Wake up. What you've lived through wasn't a coincidence. It was a calculated spiritual chess game, and you were the center of the board. The moves weren't sloppy. They were planned, precise, and interdimensional. You were targeted with the kind of coordination that doesn't happen in this world alone. Why? Because your power, your light, your frequency, your mission is the prize. You are not just a threat. You are the checkmate. That boss who smiled in your face while cutting you out of promotions. That wasn't just corporate politics. That was a piece on the board, doing its part to frustrate your ascension. That friend who suddenly flipped on you with words that pierced straight through your core. That wasn't an accident. That was a spiritual sniper strike, aimed exactly at the cracks you hadn't healed yet. The family member who always made you feel small, unworthy, or too much. A long game plant. These people weren't just influenced, they were activated. Understand this. Entities that thrive on control, chaos, and fear can't afford for someone like you to rise. So they don't just attack directly, they deploy. They place energetic vampires in your life who drain you subtly. A toxic lover who feeds on your doubt. A friend who jokes about your failures but never celebrates your wins. A relative who makes backhanded compliments feel like facts. These aren't just annoying personalities. These are assets placed around you to keep your vibration low. And the way they hit? Precision. Ever notice how the most painful comments always land exactly where you're most vulnerable? It's not random, it's psychological warfare with spiritual backing. They don't just guess, they sense. These parasites are tuned into your frequency enough to find where you're still doubting your worth, and they aim straight for it. You feel like you're bleeding from invisible wounds. That's because they're using energetic blades. But let's talk real damage, your abundance. That promotion you earned but didn't get. That job that ghosted you after promising everything. That opportunity that slipped away without explanation. You think that was just bad timing? No, that was sabotage. They couldn't destroy you, so they tried to starve you, cut off your flow, cripple your resources, keep you in survival mode, praying for crumbs, too exhausted to rise into your mission. Because they know something you've forgotten. When a chosen one has resources, they become uncontrollable. Your financial power would make you unstoppable. You'd build, create, elevate, and liberate others. And that terrifies the system. So they move against your money, your influence, your reach. They plant people to block you, gatekeepers who smile while holding doors shut, pretend supporters who delay, distract, or drain. All to keep you doubting, struggling, playing small. It's spiritual chess. You weren't just fighting one opponent, you were moving against an entire network. A net designed to keep your light boxed in and blacked out. Every piece on the board was trying to push you into a corner. But here's the twist. You're not a pawn. You're the board. The entire structure rests on your energy. And the moment you pull back your power, they collapse. That's why they're panicking now. That's why the attacks feel personal, relentless, targeted. Because the game is falling apart. You're starting to see the pattern. You're no longer playing from the victim's seat. You're remembering who you are. And once you see the board for what it is, the game can't continue. So here's your checkmate move. Stop reacting. Start reclaiming. Recognize how precise the enemy has been, and match that with surgical self-awareness. You're not paranoid. You're not imagining it. The sabotage was real, but so is your rise. You've survived the coordinated takedown. And now, you strategize your ascent. Rebuild your prosperity pipelines on your terms. Cut off every energetic vampire like a surgeon removing infection. Reinforce your frequency like steel armor. Speak your truth without a tremble. And walk like every step reroutes the system, because it does. They thought you wouldn't notice the game. They thought you'd stay distracted, broken, doubting. They thought you'd fold under pressure. But pressure is what makes kings and queens. You are the master key they feared would wake up. And now, the board is yours. Your move. Number 5. They tried to hijack your frequency, but all they did was accelerate their own collapse. You weren't just protected, you became untouchable. What they sent to destroy you now devours them in silence. Let's stop sugarcoating it. This isn't just personal sabotage. This is energetic warfare on a global level. And your presence, your very frequency, is disrupting a structure that's been locked in place for centuries. You think this is just about lost opportunities and stolen ideas. No. This is about a centuries-old system shaking at its foundations because you woke up. Last Thursday, precisely at 11:11, a universal gateway of energetic alignment, a message reached the desk of someone you'll never see in the headlines. A high-ranking figure in one of the bloodline families that puppeteer the global money game. That message wasn't about political unrest or economic crisis. It was about you, your influence, your momentum, your frequency, your existence. For the first time in 300 years, they called an emergency meeting over a single soul. That soul, yours. Why? Because your natural manifestation power, your ability to bend reality just by aligning with your truth, was causing quantum chaos in their precious matrix. You were interfering with the signal, scrambling the code, cracking holes in the illusion. So they sent in the specialists. 7 elite energy operatives trained to suppress consciousness, trained to silence awakening. These aren't the trolls in your DMs or the co-worker throwing shade. These are the real enforcers. Silent, sharp, psychic-level infiltrators sent to collapse your timeline before it blooms. But this time, the old playbook failed. Each one approached your frequency like they've done to hundreds of others. But when they tried to enter your field, when they tried to hijack your timeline, they hit a wall of light. Not soft light, not warm light. Weaponized radiance forged from your pain, your trials, your rise. A mirror they didn't see coming. And here's where it gets deadly for them. Every intention they sent to harm you, it bounced back, multiplied, magnified, turned inside out. Instant karmic acceleration. Their own darkness returned like a boomerang, wrapped in divine precision. 5 of them resigned within 24 hours. 2 remained silent, battling breakdowns they can't explain to anyone around them. Because how do you report spiritual whiplash to a system that pretends none of this exists? That's the kind of force you carry. You are a walking correction to centuries of distortion. And you're still wondering why your ideas get stolen, why your voice is silenced, why your name is left out of the credit reel. Because what you create isn't just creativity, it's activation. Your thoughts carry codes, your words crack illusions, your presence transmits clarity. Every time you speak, someone wakes up. Every time you write, someone unplugs. Every time you exist authentically, the control grid loses another pixel of power. They don't care about your content. They fear your signal. That's why they mimic you, parrot your work, copy your style while erasing your name. They hope to siphon the energy without carrying the frequency. But here's the catch. They can't. Because your light isn't in the words, it's in the wiring. It's in the soul behind the sentence. And that can't be faked. That can't be stolen. That can't be contained. And so, as their control systems glitch and flail, they do what desperate systems do. They go silent, then strike. But nothing lands anymore. Because what protected you before was guidance. What protects you now is alignment. You are no longer being shielded. You are the shield. And it's reflecting everything. They tried to drain you, but instead, they fed the storm that would dismantle them. They tried to suppress you, but instead, they triggered their exposure. They tried to cancel you, but they activated you. This is karmic acceleration in real time. Their urgency is your confirmation. Their silence is your signal. You are now vibrating at a frequency where interference turns into justice, where shadows can't hide, where the game flips the moment they try to play you. So stop downplaying your power. Stop shrinking when they steal. Stop doubting when they don't clap. Their theft is the testimony. Their fear is the proof. And your rise is inevitable. You were never meant to fight on their level. You were born to collapse the board. And now, you've become a frequency they can't track, a timeline they can't touch, and a force they can't fake. Let them gather. Let them plan. Let them whisper in hidden rooms, because every time they speak your name in fear, the universe hears it in honor. Your light has already won. Number 6. They wanted your light. Now they'll watch it burn without access. The moment you cut the cord, their illusion starves. What they called love was leeching. What you thought was loyalty was a slow bleed, and now you sever to rise. Let's stop pretending. Let's stop calling it complicated. It's not. They were draining you. You felt it. That heaviness, that fog, that internal tug-of-war between your intuition and your attachment. That wasn't confusion. That was spiritual warfare disguised as connection. And now, it's time for divine disconnection. See, they thought you'd stay hooked. They built entire personalities around your forgiveness, whole routines around your kindness, entire identities shaped by your willingness to give them one more chance. But what they didn't count on is the one thing no system, no narcissist, no energy parasite can survive: your detachment. Because when a chosen one pulls back, not in anger, but in alignment, entire timelines collapse. Every betrayal, a push, every lie, a lesson, every backstab, smear, manipulation, it all added weight to your armor. You were never breaking down. You were being broken open. They thought they were taking from you, but they were training you. Every hit, every disappointment, every silent heartbreak forced you to evolve into something they can no longer reach. You grew spiritual calluses where they tried to wound you. They wanted access to your light without ever earning it. But now, you are remembering that this light isn't free. It's sacred, it's earned, and it's protected. And the strongest form of protection you now possess is disconnection. Not emotional, not dramatic, energetic. Cutting cords that no longer serve, saying no without guilt. Creating space like your survival depends on it, because it does. This isn't avoidance, it's sovereignty. Divine disconnection is not ghosting, it's liberation. It's the spiritual equivalent of pulling the life support from the parasite that pretended to love you. And when you do this with clarity and intention, the ripple effect goes beyond anything you've been told. Each boundary you set echoes into dimensions you've never seen. Each no you declare is amplified by realms of light standing behind you. You're not just reclaiming energy, you're rerouting destiny. Because here's the truth they never wanted you to realize. Every time you stay connected to a corrupted source, your light leaks, slowly, quietly, subtly, until you forget who you are, until you question your purpose, until your mission becomes fogged in emotional chaos and energetic static. But the moment you unplug, you remember. You feel the return of your power like a storm rebuilding inside your chest. And it shows. Oh, does it show? The people you disconnect from, they feel it. Don't be fooled by their silence. They feel the collapse, the karmic echo, the energetic cutoff. Their access to your essence is gone, and they're scrambling for new supply. But nothing hits like your light. Nothing. And now that it's gone, they spiral. You'll see them lash out, project, play victim, smear, manipulate. That's not power. That's panic. Because without your energy holding their false self together, they start to disintegrate. And here's what makes this all divine. When you disconnect, you don't just free yourself. You send a message to the matrix. A loud, unmistakable signal that says, this soul is no longer available for distortion. And with every cord you sever, another manipulative structure loses a power source. You're not walking away. You're collapsing control. You were never meant to be emotionally enslaved to people who feed on your doubt. You were meant to be sovereign, whole, luminous. And now that you're rising into that truth, you don't owe explanations. You don't owe softness to abusers. You don't owe your light to those who tried to bury it. You owe you. You owe the child version of you who dreamed big before life dimmed it. You owe the future you who's about to build empires from healed ground. You owe your mission, your purpose, your destiny, uninterrupted. This is your holy rebellion, and it begins with a sacred unplugging. No grand speeches, no dramatic exits, just a steady, quiet decision. This energy no longer has access to me. And when you do that, when you walk away with peace in your eyes and power in your chest, watch what happens. Watch how fast your clarity returns, your creativity flows, your opportunities align, your health improves, your sleep deepens, your intuition sharpens. The entire universe shifts because it knows you're finally in position. So don't mourn what you walk away from. Mourn what it cost you to stay. This is not the end of anything worth keeping. This is the beginning of everything that was waiting for you to reclaim your energy. Pull the plug. Shut the gate. Unsubscribe from their chaos. This is your sacred right. This is divine disconnection. Number 7. You didn't just block them. You triggered a timeline shift across the grid. When a chosen one says no more, it doesn't just echo in the air. It rewrites time, space, and the rules of control itself. You thought you were just cutting someone off. You thought it was just another boundary, another necessary move to protect your peace. But what actually happened was seismic. When you finally blocked that person, when you stood up and said, "I release you completely," you weren't just taking your power back. You were recalibrating the entire grid. In that moment, 17 lightworkers spread across continents, not knowing your name, never having met you, felt something break free in their throats. Years of silence lifted. Suppressed truth was finally given permission to rise. And why? Because your act of defiance became their activation. You broke the chain. You created the frequency. You triggered the signal that it's time to speak, claim, and rise. You're not healing in isolation. You're setting off quantum chain reactions. Meanwhile, a sensitive in Sedona dropped to their knees mid-channeling session. Their guide spoke one phrase. A timeline has just been severed. The old control grid has lost another anchor. And they were right. That toxic individual you disconnected from wasn't just an abuser. They were an energetic agent holding space in an outdated timeline. When you walked, that timeline lost power, and the system behind them felt it. How do we know? Because now their phone won't work, their car won't start. Their tech glitches every time they try to stalk, spy, or even think about you with intention. This isn't just karma, it's timeline enforcement. You didn't just say no. You reprogrammed access permissions across realms. Your auric firewall went nuclear, and now the universe is locking down your perimeter. Every time a chosen one reclaims their energy, timelines shift. Not softly, not gradually, suddenly. You see it in the chaos that hits your enemies the moment you unplug. You feel it in the clarity that rushes back into your chest after you walk away. You witness it in the waves of awakening happening around you, just from your choice to stop bleeding energy into the void. You think you're alone, But every bold boundary you set creates a ripple that hits others still stuck in their loops. You become a template, a living map. Your courage writes new code into the collective consciousness. Suddenly, people you've never met feel brave enough to cut ties, to speak up, to leave what was killing their light. Your no becomes someone else's, finally. Your disconnection becomes someone else's revolution. And it's not just people you impact, it's reality itself. When a chosen one stops feeding the parasitic system, that system begins to glitch. The old code can't run. The false structures lose power. You are not just spiritual, you're quantum. Your DNA holds living light, and every choice you make is amplified across dimensions. This is why they tried so hard to keep you doubting, to keep you connected to pain, guilt, and obligation. Because the moment you act from clarity, the matrix loses another node. It's collapsing because of you. You didn't just walk away. You deleted access. You didn't just cut a cord. You cut a lifeline to an entire program. You didn't just heal. You altered the collective trajectory. And now, the game is changing in real time. You may feel tired, heavy. You may wonder if anyone sees the effort you're making. Hear this. The universe does. And so do the souls you've never met, but who now breathe easier because of the ground you reclaimed. Each one of us is a light post on this grid, and every time you activate, others light up faster. It's exponential. What took you years to overcome will now take them weeks. And what takes them weeks will be passed as seconds to the next wave. That's how powerful you are. That's what they were afraid of. They didn't fear your voice. They feared what your voice would activate in others. They didn't fear your healing. They feared your healing would turn into a portal that others could walk through. And it has. So when your body aches, when your soul feels stretched, when the grief of disconnecting hits you all at once, remember this. You're not just reclaiming yourself, you're clearing space in the collective. You're restoring what was stolen across generations. You're shifting timelines every time you honor your truth. You are the key, the trigger, the activator, and the more you own it, the more the system unravels, the more we all rise. Let the old timelines crash. Let the energy thieves panic. Let the manipulators lose their grip. You're not here to fix them. You're here to free yourself. And by doing that, you give us all permission to break out. We don't need more followers. We need more activators. And today, you became one. Welcome to the real grid. And now that you've seen the truth laid bare, there's no going back. You are not broken. You are built for disruption. Every boundary you've set, every cord you've cut, every truth you've owned is reshaping the world in real time. The game is changing because you woke up. So if this message hit your spirit like lightning, like subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to claim your power publicly. Share this with another chosen one, because when we rise together, their control systems don't stand a chance. This is your moment, and it's only the beginning.